Guys, we are at the halfway point of the season, and these two episodes were by far the most impactful in their own ways. And I can actually say I cried a bit in the second part episode.
Into trouble without us.
Without us?
Best of luck, Echo.
Luck with what?
I'm going with Rex.
So let's just jump into what I can review for this 2-episode review today. We start off the first episode with a comeback of the 79's clone bar to see two clones talking with each other. Clone Cade has a conversation with Slip that he's aware of Rampart's lies and that he won't be silent anymore. The fact that he said that he sent a message towards Rampart himself makes it very clear that once these two left the building, he got a snipe shot for it. Luckily, Slip was able to survive and run away from the scene, but he is now aware that he is a target as well. We then appear at the Senate room to see that there's a bill to discuss about being passed by Rampart himself, but some senators are more concerned why militia is more important than the voices of the remaining clones, at least Senator Chuchi brings up. Though Rampart makes his word saying that the clones will be taken care of, it still isn't enough to make sure the bill passes in this meeting. We go back to 79's with Senator Chuchi to try and understand that the needs of the clones, yet all they want to be is clones, since they don't have any other way of thinking differently than they are made for. It is a moment the clones never thought about until Chuchi made her point, and so they decide to help her out to plan a better future for themselves. Outside of 79's, Chuchi gives her promise towards the clones as Slip gets Chuchi's attention from behind and keeps his eyes out. Curious, Chuchi gets closer to Slip to hear out of his mouth that Rampart isn't to be trusted and Camino was a deliberate attack instead of a storm, which was the rumor on why it was destroyed. Chuchi asks why such an accusation, but we find out ourselves as well that he was one of the members on board of Rampart's Venator when the attack was made. Chuchi is then requested by Rampart to discuss the issue, and they make it towards his office room for her to ask about the storm that happened on Camino. Obviously, Rampart made his statement on how he's lucky to be alive from it, and that all must move on from it. His statement doesn't make Chuchi assured on what he says, and the stupid face he makes is just something I personally can't take. Chuchi then leaves as one of her guards runs up to tell her that she received a message from someone anonymous. She finds herself in a secluded alleyway for an R2 droid to come up to her and lead her to Senator Organa. He was aware of her meeting with Rampart and makes a point out on how such a storm could cause the destruction of Camino when it is literally surrounded by water and that it always storms there, honestly. Bale advises her to keep her eyes out for a Slip, as she won't be the only one looking for him. In the alleyway, Slip is still in hiding as he is contacting someone for a meetup point until he gets surprised by Chuchi herself. She tries to convince him to help her testify, but Slip tells her that she doesn't need him since the evidence is on the command log in the ship. And once he says that, he gets shot by the same hitman. The guards raise their alarms to protect Chuchi, yet the first one gets killed, and the other guard and her make their way towards an abandoned building for which the other guard gets killed there. Chuchi tries to escape from the hitman, but she gets saved by our favorite Pancho clone Rex. They both make a discovery to find out that it was a clone that was the hitman, which was an eye-widened moment for me, that's for sure. Rex takes Chuchi and the hitman to the Martez's garage for Rex to make sure that the hitman was tied up well. It doesn't take long for the clone to wake up and not say anything until Rex points out that he will let him go if the clone tells him who gave them the orders. Once the clone said Rex's name, it baffled me a bit on how he knew his name, and then it got me thinking back to the Clone Wars hidden enemy of a certain clone traitor named Slick. I know this theory may sound off since he was arrested at the end of that episode and it has been season 1 since he appeared, yet he gives me so much similar vibes and I can't help but think this is either just Slick or just another clone that wanted freedom. But it doesn't matter since the clone suicided himself with the exact same bite shockers from season 2 of Mandalorian with that one admiral, and this is where the cliffhanger ends for this episode. I personally love the Star Wars Senate more than our reality one, of course, and personally Senator Chuchi was always my favorite since her first appearance. Seeing her back again and being the one to stand up for the clones is an empowerment I love about her very much. This episode was a 10 out of 10 for me since it also gave me the similarity of when Fives found out about the inhibitor chips. Now let us jump into the episode 8 review that is to come for the batch to witness for themselves. We see that the Batch are on their ship waiting to get another mission from Sid, and we see that Gonki is okay! I'm sorry, but where was he in the last 7 episodes? And I was already more worried for him than AZ. Sorry, bud. We see that Omega is actually meditating, but it isn't working as Gunji taught her, and that is when Echo decides to join her company. Omega asks him if he wants to try, yet he declines since it reminds him of the solitude he had on Skako Minor. Tech calls for the Batch that they are receiving a transmission from Rex, and this is where it all happens. Once Rex mentions that he needs the Batch at Coruscant, this raises Hunter's flags, and Tech tells Omega that it is the heart of the Empire. Echo assures Hunter that there is no need to worry since the Empire thinks they are dead, and Rex reminds them that it is a crucial covert mission. The Batch then heads for Coruscant and lands at the safe zone that Rex sends towards them and makes their way to meet with him and Senator Chuchi. The group goes inside to witness the body of the clone, and I had shivers down my spine just seeing how the assassin was already decaying on the skin. Even Echo questions on why another clone would cause such an attack, and that's when Chuchi tells the group about what's going on with the silencing clones. Once the plan is made, Chuchi needs to head back, and that's when Omega decides to join her to make sure she is protected. Back at the Senate building, just seeing Omega in a Pantoran poncho is just what was missing for this season since she looks so adorable in it. And just seeing these two makes me think back to when Ahsoka had been with Chuchi's side. But Chuchi gives a teaching moment of senators being the representation of the people until she sees Rampart looking surprised to see her. They have a small talk until Rampart is needed, and that's when Chuchi takes Omega to the media room. Omega asks about the clones' rights, and Chuchi assures her that they will get their voice heard with her help, until R2-C4 comes back to meet the two. We are then outside with Bail finding out about Chuchi's assassination, and she tells him not to worry since she has associates that will help her out exposing Rampart's lies. Even though what she has is little, Bail reminds her that she will need someone else's help to help her out, and that is Halle Bertoni, former senator of Camino. Now, at another building, Chuchi was able to have a moment of Bertoni's time to discuss the matters at hand. Though it brings no importance towards her, Omega brings her voice out that she's angry about the destruction of Camino. Bertoni then tells Chuchi that Rampart did move the funds from the cloning facility, and that makes her part of proof for Chuchi to present. We are then back with the Batch and Rex to start making their way towards top. They get towards the first maintenance tunnel for Wrecker to get through the first hatch and for Tech to close down the ray shields. The group then makes their way up to head for the Venator, and they have to fly their way up with Tech's help. And just seeing Wrecker at his better with heights was just a pure moment. With some minor issues, the group lands on the Venator and makes their way inside to reach the command logs. But the group has an issue to deal with since making the transfer of the data would activate a security breach. Unfortunately, there is no way around this issue, so Tech continues with the transfer as the breach is signaled and the group is ready for the troopers to come. With moments to stall, the transfer is complete and the group makes a hasty escape with the escape pods, even if Tech was 6.4 meters off than what he hoped for. It is the night of Rampart's bill to be voted until Chuchi makes her stand to tell the Senate about Rampart's lies. At the same time, outside of the building, Omega is waiting for Rex to show up with the log and makes it back to receive the log for Chuchi. With enough installment, the log gets received towards Bail, and he gives it towards Chuchi for her to show the destruction of Camino for the Senate to witness for themselves. But seeing this has made the appearance of Palpatine being raised and for the arrestment of Rampart to witness, though I have a gut feeling this isn't the last time we will see him. Palpatine himself gives words of the horrification of the act and makes a new legislation for the rise of Imperial Stormtroopers. So basically, in one explanation, the Batch basically risked their lives for a log to be proof for Palpatine's next move to continue on with the new Empire. The Senate is just powerless because Palpatine is always a step ahead of his plans and he just needs an action to make his plans come together. We are back at the garage for the group to realize they caused the fate of all clones, and Chuchi will still fight for the clones. This is something Padme would really do if she was still alive. Okay, and this is the moment of truth, because this season felt like someone was going to be leaving this batch and it had to be Echo. It just brings heart weight to witness the 3 original members left to give him luck on what Omega doesn't understand until Echo tells her that he's staying with Rex. And it brings me into tears to see Omega realizing this and gives a hug for Echo to hug her back. I couldn't handle myself because this is the second time she has to witness this, and I know there's a certain someone out there that just wants to rant about this, but he can discuss that either on this video or in the comments. But we get a final look at Echo watching the Marauder leave and Omega hugging Lula, missing her brother. This is yet another 10 out of 10 for me, since there was so many emotions going through this one episode, and I just remembered my mouth being dropped when we saw Palpatine again. But now that we got just the 4 members, we really don't know what is to be expected for them without Echo. But we can only give assumptions based on the next episode titled The Crossing, which is likely going to see where Crosshair stands now that Rampart is detained. Overall, these 2 episodes are like 100 out of 10 for me. I just can't get over how well written these episodes have been, and like I said, we are already at the halfway point of this season. I just love the unexpected for this season, and I hope it continues this way towards the end. If you guys got anything to say, theories, or comments, put them down in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next episode review. Bye!